G'day all, it's Colin from PCTLC. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be running through some of the basics of Linux Mint Cinnamon 18.2. This is the Cinnamon desktop, and I've got some basic features that has been asked to me from new users, so we'll run through it, and we'll go through just a couple of other things as well. So let's get started. First of all, accessing folders could be done from the panel there. It can also be done from your home folder there. And your home folder consists of your documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos, your public folder, you can share documents from there, and templates. And I'll show you how the templates works later. There's a reason why that folder is there. You can also access your folders from the favorites in the menu, which is here. You can also find your separate folders, individual folders here in the menu under places. That will take you to the individual folder itself. So in the menu, we have your quit button, your logout, and your lock screen. And down in the right hand corner of the menu, you will see it has a description of what you're hovering over in the bottom right. So we've looked at files, you got your terminal, system settings, software manager, and Firefox. Now in the middle here we have your category icons, and up the top is all applications, or you can scroll through the separate categories and look, and you can find what you're looking for within the categories themselves if you know which category it's under. If you're not sure, you could just scroll through the all applications and find what you're looking for under there. So that's the menu. Also, touching on the menu itself with these favorites here, you can add documents to favorites. So if we look at the LibreOffice Calc, if we right click that, you can add to favorites. It'll add it to the favorites here. If you add to panel, it'll be added to panel down here, and right click again and add to desktop, and it'll be added to desktop. So that's other ways you can put your shortcuts in different positions to suit your workflow. Now if you want to remove, just right click on this one and delete. You're just deleting a shortcut, that's all you're doing. If you want to remove from the panel, right click and remove. And you cannot right click on the favorites in this menu, you have to go to the actual application itself, right click and remove from favorites. Now adding applets to panel and removing applets to panel, regardless what you're doing, click on add applets to panel. Now to install, you have a list here of already installed applets. Now anything with a green dot on the far right here represents applications already on the panel. So they're already showing on the panel, and that tells you that they're there. So you know that it is existing on the panel itself. Now if you don't find anything that you really want to add to the panel there, you can go to available applets online, and you can go through the list here and check out any applets that might suit your workflow. For example, weather applet, we can install that. So click on install. They don't take long to install. Once they are populated for the first time when you access the applets menu, they have to populate if you haven't opened it before. So if you go to installed applets, click on the weather applet, add to panel. Now if we go down to this weather applet and we right click, configure. Now to configure this applet, we need to get the WOE ID. So we click on that, it'll open up your browser and take you to the site where you can retrieve that information. So if I type in Perth, which is where I am, Perth, Australia, click on lookup, and that means it stands for Where on Earth identifiers. So that's mine there, that's my WEID there. So I will put that in here, 1098081. Everything else looks okay here. I like to forecast 5 days, and everything else seems to be set up the way I want it. So that'll do for now anyway. And close that, and there you have your weather applet configured. We also have other applets online. Kobe window list, you might want to check that out. And if you need to know more about these, click on the More Info button. It will take you to the Cinnamon Spices website, and you can read up about it, or you can browse through this website for the different themes, applets, desklets, extensions that you can install on your Cinnamon desktop. So one more applet I will install and show you is the Cin 7 Stark menu. Install. Click on Install. Go to Installed Applets. Cin 7 Stark menu. Add to panel. There you can see the menu has been added. If we right click the menu, go to Panel Edit Mode, I will drag this over next to the other other menu to make a comparison between the two. Right click and turn off Panel Edit Mode. That's how you drag your applets in position. Now if we look at these two menus, this menu here has a striking resemblance to Windows 7 menu, so I tend to put that on people's Linux machines when I install it for them because it's a lot more familiar. Now you can do the same thing with this. If you go to All Programs, you got your categories here like the previous main menu I showed. All Applications, same thing there. Now if we go back to Favorites, there's your favorites there. They have their own little area, and you have your individual home and documents and pictures and so forth on the right, so you don't have to go searching for those. They're readily available. You have your computer, system settings, printers, terminal and system info there. You quit, log out and lock screen. So that's quite handy as well. Now with this one here, if we go to Office and we do the same thing as the other menu, right click, we can add to panel. There it is down in the panel. We can add to desktop. It's on the desktop, and we can right click and add to favorites. And if we go back to favorites, there it is in the favorites. Now, same thing again as previous. We can remove, we can delete or move to trash. And within the favorites, on this menu, if you right click, you can remove from favorites. Unlike the other one, you cannot do that. So that's just a menu to give you a look at. If we have a look along the panel, we've got sound settings. You can also go to settings by clicking this user applet, system settings, and go to sound. If you cannot find it, you can type sound and it'll look it up by typing. It's a quick search within the settings menu. Calendar and time, internet, battery. We have Bluetooth, which does work with a Bluetooth headset. Not sure about transferring files on phones. Down here you have your system updater. Now if there was updates pending, you would click install updates, put in your password, and your updates will come down. It's that simple. Now we have your panel launchers by default here, terminal, files. Now if you don't like what's in there, you can remove them individually. If you want to remove the whole panel launcher itself, right click, add applets to panel, look for the panel launchers. You can see that it is installed, and remove from panel if you wish. Same with the window list here. If you want to put something else in, you can remove the window list. As you can see, it's installed. You can remove from panel. It's not uninstalled, it's just removed. You can add it back later if you wish. Let's go to the system settings. Now, if we have a look at the backgrounds, you can see that you have the default Linux Mint backgrounds and some previous operating systems here, and they're represented by the name of the operating system, Sarah, Serena and Sonia. All releases have a different name. Now, anything in your pictures folder, which is this one here, will show up in here. However, if you like to have your pictures organized in folders, which I do, they will not show up here. So the workaround that is to go to your home folder, right click, show hidden files. Now anything with a dot in front of it is a hidden folder or a hidden file. So that they're system files. So it keeps them out of your view, it keeps it nice and clean interface. So what we can do here is create a new folder, call it .wallpaper. And we're going to make our own custom wallpaper folder. So if I go to my pictures folder, I have some wallpaper here which I've downloaded. If I copy all those to my .wallpaper folder and paste them in there, and there they are, they're in there. Now you can add anything, as many pictures as you like in here. You can keep adding, you can download your favorites from your favorite website, just keep adding. And what you do with that is you click on the plus button here. Now you may not, they may be hidden. If it's hidden, if it's not showing, right click and show hidden folders. Same thing as within your file manager. Look for your .wallpaper, click open. There's your folder there, and then you have your pictures available. So that's your own custom wallpaper picture folder within your file manager. So if we uncheck show hidden files, now they're all gone, and your pictures folder is still nice and neat because you've got your own custom. Now you can add whatever you like into your own .wallpaper folder and populate that with all your favorites. So let's continue with the system settings. You've got effects here. If you have a look at the effects, they are pretty normal. On here you can, to give you a reasonable look of the changes in effects, fly up and down. So if we minimize that, it flies downwards. They fly downwards and they fly back up from there. Now if we go to fly down, they fly up. What was the name of that? Fly down, up. So if we minimize that, it goes upwards and comes back down from the top. So that's the way you can customize your effects. Your menus as well will be flying from up, or they could be flying from the bottom. So whatever the end word is, down, it means they come from downwards. Up from down, if that makes any sense. So we go back to Cinnamon, that's your standard. Themes, we have standard Linux themes, icons, controls, which is within the box here, not the border itself up the top, and your mouse cursor, your Linux Mint desktop, which is the look of the panel and the menu. So that's what that one's all about. Now if you want more, you can add, remove, go to available themes online, and you can scroll through all the themes that's available from the Linux Mint Spices on their website, or you can look in here. It's the same thing. You might get a better look and a bigger look at what it looks like within the Spices website, and that makes it a little bit easier to get a bigger picture of the theme itself. So if we go to add remove and available themes, you do have a Windows 10 theme. Let's try that out and check that box, install the theme. If we go to install themes, once that's done, click on Windows 10, apply theme, and there you have a Windows 10 theme. Unfortunately, icons you have to add yourself. You can go for Windows border. You got Windows 10 there. You got the light one, but you don't have the dark one. So we're going to add some more themes to this and some more icon themes as well to give that, to enhance that theme a little bit more. So we'll finish off first the system settings. Accessibility, which is keyboard, typing assistant and so forth. Date and time, you can adjust that if you need to. Click that arrow to go back to the main menu. Desklets, you can add a digital photo frame. You can add a clock to your desktop. You can drag it wherever you wish to have it. You can right click and configure. And you can change the color and so forth. This one here is a pictures applet. So even though the pictures are within folders, in my pictures folder, they will still show up here in this pictures digital photo frame. So if we right click and configure, we can, sorry, we're already on there, we can go back to none, or you can change the location again, or you can right click and remove this deslet. Right click, remove deslet. Click arrow to go back to main settings, desktop. If you don't want your icons showing on the desktop, you can turn them all off. As you can see, they're not showing anymore, no longer there. Turn them back on. You can choose individuals, whichever ones you want showing. It's entirely up to the way you want your desktop to look. Extensions, there are extensions available. I don't really work with extensions at all. Haven't really used these. So I can't actually show you what they look like, but the same again, like I've said before, if you click on more info, it'll take you to the Spices website and you can have a look at a little bit more in depth of what those extensions are all about. You've got your general settings, hot corners. If you check the hover enabled and that turns green, that corner becomes a hot corner. If you put your mouse up to that hot corner, it'll show desktop. You can choose to show open windows, or you can choose to show all workspaces, and you can drag your open windows to different workspaces, and you can choose to go to a different workspace if you like a clean interface. You can turn that off, and you can do the same thing with each corner. Input is language. Notifications, you can choose to the timeout. You can choose a timeout. You can adjust your notifications to suit the way you want it to look. Your panel, you can adjust your panel height, higher or lower. I think that's changed because of the theme that we've got running. So there's other options there. Preferred application, so if you've got more than one application within here, like a media player, you can choose which one. If you double click a media file, it'll open with whatever you choose here. So in the music, if you choose a music file in your music folder and you double click it, it'll either open with the media player, the rhythm box, VLC or Audacity. So it's up to you to choose which one you want it to open with, and the same with videos and so forth. And that will be dependent on whether you install more applications that's suited for that file. You've got your privacy. Screensaver, you can try different screensavers if you like screensavers. If you do try them and you don't want it on, just go back to this screen locker. That's your default, and there will be no screensaver. Startup applications. If you wish to have something start up, you can choose a custom command or an application itself if needed. Windows, you can choose to move your buttons from right to left. You can have one button here, two buttons over here. It's up to you where you would like all your buttons. Windows behavior, there's a lot of different behaviors here. Don't mess around with them too much. Alt tab, now you have your Alt tab here. You can have Alt tab if you press those key combinations. You can have icons only, thumbnails only, icons and thumbnails. There's your thumbnails. Icons and preview windows, so the windows will show behind the icons. Window preview with no icons, so you're just looking at the open window itself. Cover flow 3D and timeline 3D. So they all look pretty nifty anyway. Back to the main settings. Window tiling. It's a couple of things that you can do here. The number one thing is when you first install Linux Mint, you'll find that when you maximize by dragging up to the top, it'll only go half. That's because that's off by default. So if you maximize instead of tile when dragging a window to the top edge, turn that on and you'll get a full screen maximize. And you can adjust workspaces. You have keyboard, shortcuts. If you go through the shortcuts, you've got your categories here. If you click on one of these and click on one of these, it'll tell you what the key combination is here. If it says unassigned, there is no key combination for it. If we look at there, Control, Super, plus left to push, snap left. So it'll snap a window to the left, probably like so. That's probably what that key combination is. So you can play around with that. That's just how you know what the combinations are, and you can make your own combinations if you wish. Mouse and touchpad. You can configure those to your liking. Network, power manager, printers. You can add a printer if you wish. Sound, there's your sound settings. Also on the sound icon itself, down in the bottom right, you can click on that and click sound settings. Input, sound effects. Sound effects, if you want, you can turn on or turn off. You'll have your login and log out sound effects and adding devices and so forth. I choose to turn that off. System info tells you what operating system you're running, the version of Cinnamon that's installed, the kernel, and your hardware information for your computer. So if you're on some forums and people want to know what hardware you've got, that can tell them which hardware you're running. Driver manager, if you wish to install extra drivers, proprietary drivers, put in your password, press enter. Helps if I put the password correct. And that will show you what drivers installed. Oops, sorry. Firewall. You can choose to turn your firewall on and off. So there's your firewall. Turn it on. Once it's coloured, it's on. There we go. Should always have your firewall on. And there's your extra drivers. You can choose to install the Intel driver or the NVIDIA driver, which I'm running. You can adjust your login window or configure that to your liking, so you can have a different background color or picture. There's your background pictures there. So you can choose which picture you get on the login screen where you type in your password. So there's a couple of configurations there as well. Users and groups. So if you go to users and groups, you can change your user picture within there, and also adjust groups as well if you need to, if you know what you're doing there. So you've got some avatars there, or you could browse for more pictures. So that's all the settings. Now, touching on themes, I have some extra themes here that I can install. So if I go to my downloads folder, I've got some themes within here. Go to your home folder. There should be a .themes and a .icons. They are in your user folder and they're a hidden folder. So that's where you put any themes that you may download. So as you can see, we've already installed a theme for Windows 10 that's showing up in there already. That was from the actual themes itself. So that's where it's installed that. So if I copy these to the .themes folder, right click and paste, right click again and extract here while they're all highlighted. Then if we go back to our icons, I've got some icon sets here. Copy those into the icons folder, paste. And the same thing once they're all highlighted, while they're all highlighted, extract here. So they've been extracted. A couple of, you'll find that some of them don't actually, they have a folder with secondary folders, so you need to extract those ones from there. So if you open that folder, you have a look, you'll see that it's got certain things within that folder. Animation status, panel categories, then you know that's the actual proper folder for the icon theme set. So copy that into icons. I didn't do the paper one because it's already there. So while that's happening there, we can sort out our menu. So if we have a look here, since I've done the theme update, you'll find that these menus are overlapping here. So if we add applets to panel, do a search for spacer. You can search within this menu here. Spacer, add to panel. There it is there. I've seen it highlight there. So if we grab that spacer and move it over here into position, you then have a space, and click on the spacer, click on configure and adjust that space, and there you can adjust the spacing to suit. If you right click your panel and configure, you can also configure the name. We can space it out a bit. You can put your own personal name if you wish. And as you can see, that has impeded on the other menu again. So we can go back to add applets to panel, look for your spacer, configure again and adjust that a bit more to suit that name. And there we go. Now, configuring this menu here, if you wish to configure this menu a bit more, you can turn on custom icon, and there is a custom icon built into the theme. So now it's actually over that icon itself, so we can move a little bit more, and then we have properly adjusted menu there. So turn off panel edit mode. Our themes are in place. So what we can do now is go to the system settings, which is here, or you can go to the system settings from here. Go to themes, open up your folder. Oops. Now if we go to themes, there'll be a lot more options. You've got Windows 10 Dark, Vista or 7, that looks like 7 anyway, 8.1. You can choose to your liking which ones you want to use. Windows 10 icons, you can see the icons changing. That's uncheck the hidden folders. You can choose to use any one of these for your controls. Windows 8.1 normally comes up quite nice, and the Windows 10 is already in place. So there you have a Windows 10 looking theme with the icons to make you feel more at home if that's what you want, or you can completely transform it to look like anything you want it to look like, and it doesn't even have to represent Windows whatsoever. Now the other thing, if you do like to use a bit of a Windows theme, put the show desktop over to the right hand side, turn off panel edit mode. If we hover over that, if we open some windows here, if we hover over that, it'll show desktop. If you right click that, you can configure it and you can choose how much opacity you want to show and a blur effect and all sorts of things there. So your windows are showing a little bit more. Just click on it and they're totally minimized, all windows there. Now there's just a couple more things you want to do. Right clicking the panel, modify panel, you can add a new panel. Select the position you want to add it by clicking on one of these. We'll do the left hand side. There's your new panel there. You can add applets to the panel just like we did with the bottom one. So if we, for example, if we add our start menu, add to panel, it might make a liar out of me now. Calendar, add to panel. You can keep your panel edit mode on if you wish, it doesn't matter. And if we add place a center, add that. Adjust them into the position you want them. Turn off panel edit mode. And there you have, if we can configure that menu, go to the panel, turn on custom menu, and there you have the Windows 10 icon there. So if we was to remove panel, if we go to modify, remove panel, you can remove the panel altogether. So if we add the start menu down to here, it's turned red and the places center has turned red because it was on the other panel. So if we modify panel and add panel, select that one there, you see that they're still attached to that panel. So if we do remove that, and remove that, remove this one, remove your panel, modify panel, remove panel, now there's no red dots. So for some reason they just seem to get attached to that panel once they're on there. Right clicking the panel also gives you system settings, which we've already covered. That's just another way of, another shortcut to get to your system settings, a shortcut to your themes, and also a shortcut to your panel settings available there. Troubleshoot, you can restart Cinnamon from here. So if you install some themes and they don't look right, if you restart Cinnamon, you'll probably find, so this one here, for example, that would look like a complete green shield with a, I think it's a yellow tick or something inside. That hasn't changed because I need to log out or restart Cinnamon, which I'm not going to do while I'm recording. Also, if you add a lot of panels and applets and you've messed around and you've completely messed it up and you're not sure how to get it back, if you go to this one here, restore all settings to default, that will put your panel back to exactly how it was when you installed Linux Mint for the first time. Bearing in mind, if you have added extra panels, they will also disappear. So let's try that. Let's restore all that to default. Are you sure? Yes. So there you have now your panel back to complete defaults. You can right click on the desktop, change desktop background, choose a picture, custom picture if you wish. One more thing I would like to cover is when you are in your file manager, if you right click, you can create an empty document. Now I've added a new Excel spreadsheet. So if I click on that, it'll add a new spreadsheet, name it for the purpose of what you're using it for. In this example, I'll name it spreadsheet. Now, if you want to add some more to that, what you can do is go to your Office. We'll use the writer for an example. Open the writer. Once it's open, go to do not make any adjustments, go to File, Save As. Now this is where your templates comes in handy. Double click on your templates, give it a name. New Word document, if you want to name it anything that you're familiar with, that makes your life familiar within Linux. Save that, close that. Now if we go to the file manager, anywhere here, but you know, most of the time you probably saving a document in your documents folder anyway. So right click, create new Word document. Click on that, call it doc. Now it hasn't opened, but it's created it, and then you double click it. It's already named, so you don't have to name it while you're using it. It's already named once you open it, so that's pretty handy. So that's a look around the Linux Mint desktop. Hope it's helped you out in some way, and thank you for joining me.